Welcome, my lords and ladies, to the Small Council. Today, the first of our proceedings concerns where we are at regarding the task set to us by our Lord King Sweet Robin. Next, we shall address the changes made to the platform. We shall otherwise respond to any inquiries amongst the populace. Lastly, we shall discuss the exiled John Connington and the rumors of his return. Which of our leal lords here would like to discuss the first topic, which would be the state of the fanfic and Area 2 and all of that.
Should we do some introductions first, as like people are
Of
gonna
course.
be watching it later? Like, of course, everybody here knows who we are, but
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
fair
everybody go
point.
around. Let's introduce each other.
Sure.
Time, how about you first?
Alright, I'm Captain Time, also known as Littlefinger. I'm one of the mods here. I'm here to vibe. I enjoy reading the drafts. I haven't submitted anything yet, but I'm still enjoying the project so far.
Speak up. Go ahead, guys.
All right. I figured you would transition us, but all right. I'm Sis. I've been off the server pretty much for the last whatever since the first chapter dropped. I got rolled into other projects, but now I'm back. Haven't submitted anything otherwise either. We'll be, we'll see what goes on. I'm very active in mod chat, and I'm slowly going through the rest of the Discord that I've missed out on for months. So I guess that's it.
and neither of you mentioned your titles. Like, we gotta follow the gimmick. You know, we have a gimmick. Let's follow it.
I don't think I picked a title.
I think we agreed that you're the Grandmaster.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Busy. Here, I'll put it in. Ziz is the Grand Maester.
And Littlefinger is, of course, the Master of Coin.
What else would I be?
Indeed. So
Does
yeah,
that make him the Lord Treasurer as well? Is that his title?
sure. Why not?
No, but like officially in world, does that make him Lord Treasurer? Like if Cersei was to address Peter Baelish as like by his proper title, would she call him Lord Treasurer?
I don't know.
don't
Probably Master
remember.
of Coin.
I can look it up. I thought it's meant.
Well, let's not look it up right now. It's not like it's important or anything. So yeah, I should go ahead. I'm Varvaspolvi. I'm the moderator here. By the way, I should start with some Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, my titles. Fuck. Moderator. I'm a ex-editor for both the server and Preston, and also, yeah, I'm back. And I want to give some Thanksgiving. Like, first of all, the moderation team. Like, nice of you, very sweet of you guys to have me back. And thanks to Nick for having me, and to the community at large. Everyone's been very gracious.
And I am Nick the Slick. I'm the Hand of the King. I have just been hosting this stuff. You may have seen me around. I'm the Davos guy. Every once in a while, you'll probably see my Davos chapters posted in what's the new thread called? Just called it Drafts. You'll see them in there. Go check them out. They are wonderful. Otherwise, I'm just a guy, and I think that concludes introductions. Was there anything
Oh
else
yeah,
you guys wanted?
I'm Master of
Go ahead.
Whispers too. That I forgot about that.
I'll write that down.
In this
Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about the state of the fanfic? Is Area 2 submissions concluded?
Yeah, the deadline is passed, and that's pretty much all I know. Anybody else want to fill in?
Yeah, like if the trend holds, and there's no reason to think it won't, like it's gonna be at least a week till the editors are gonna get the draft from Preston.
And we.
Yeah, I know. I tracked 6 drafts shared on the server. I can't follow everything now that it's been flipped over, but I'll run the same feedback form and send that to Preston once the final thing goes through.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I'm not tracking anything.
Great. So when are we getting the survey done? Is it after it drops from Preston, right?
Well, I'll make the survey so that like instantly after we get the chapter, we can just publish it in announcements like last time.
Alright.
I made the Elaine survey like 2 months before Elaine was shared because that one took so long.
Okay.
And it'll be similar and shorter than the last one, so it's not going to be much work. Just something to get a pulse on the project, what people think about the chapter, as well as stuff they're looking forward to and any other pointers that we can get from the community.
Short and sweet.
And I think the next
Yay.
topic on the agenda would be the new changes to the Discord. Sis, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah. So let's keep it brief. We already talked about this before, but for the podcast's sake, we're doing some changes on the Discord. We're changing the order of channels and categories, merging channels and categories, and installing some forum type channels that have an inbuilt search system together with tags. There's only a maximum of 20 tags though, so if anybody wants them changed to get rid of a tag nobody ever uses or put in a tag that people feel like we really need, then you can bring it up in server suggestions and we can change the tags. And we're having a trial week or two now with this new format, and then we'll have a vote on the whole Discord and see what people think, if they want more of these forum functions where it makes sense. We're not gonna get rid of everything, but so we'll have a few normal channels with just free-flowing discussions, and then we'll have more topic-oriented forum channels, such as we were doing with brainstorming, the brainstorming channel right now. And
Yeah, that's of course if people want it.
yeah, exactly. And if people hate it, we can just revert back to the old, I guess. But yeah, we'll see, and that's it for that, I think.
Yeah, I gotta say that I'm very encouraged by the engagement on the Brainstorm forum. Like, we just launched it yesterday, I think, and there's been quite a lot of discussion there and quite a lot of new threads that weren't started by us, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's very positive.
I definitely think that the new system is a much better way of being able to search for things we've done in the past. I know that there's buried threads that have gold hidden deep inside them. There's one on the Faith of the Seven world building, there's so much good stuff in there about the Faith of the Seven. There was another one, I think, about the end game of where the whole story's going to end up going. Those are the two that come to mind, but it'd be nice to have future things, threads like that, somewhat preserved and not buried.
No, man, if you're passionate about that, like, you compile it. we can't do everything for you.
Yeah.
Like, no, I wasn't saying that you guys should. I was saying, be nice that future stuff is saved. I mean, I could do like a video or something, just sort of like scrolling through and saying my thoughts on it, something like that. That might preserve it.
Yeah,
Or we
sure.
can just link to it in a new post. That might work as well.
Perhaps, yeah.
Sure.
If there's anything that needs to go in resources, I think that has to go through a mod, though. I don't think anybody else has the perms.
Yeah, no one can post there but us.
Yeah.
So you either have to put it in server suggestions or DM one of us. Either one works.
Yep. If anybody has any questions about all of this so far, raise your hand. Otherwise, I guess we can move on.
Is any queries from amongst the populace?
Rowan is gonna be mad at me if I don't mention it. We are also planning a new community event that we're gonna start off, or test it rather, after the House of the Dragon. The Dragon show has ended. And it's gonna be basically, we're gonna be hosting live readings of George Martin's other non-Asoyev works. So we hope that's going to be fun and that people are interested in that. I know there are a lot of people who haven't read stuff from Thousand Worlds, or even outside of Thousand Worlds. There are a lot of good stuff George has written that aren't in that universe.
I'd be interested in doing that. I would read some chapters. I think it'd be fun.
Listen to them. Tune in.
Oh, do you have a reader already?
We're gonna do live readings. We have a few options. Some of our mods wanna read some. Storm Torment has said that they are interested in reading, and I also just DM'd someone about it. They haven't answered me, but anyways.
Okay, well, I'll volunteer myself as well.
Yeah,
Any
sure.
other
You
questions?
totally should if we
Okay.
find a story that makes sense. You've got a great voice for that kind of thing.
Any other questions about new changes to the server before we move on to JonCon?
Looks like we're fine.
Let's give him a
Crickets.
few moments. Alright, not seeing. Alright, sounds good. On to JonCon then. Any personal theories that you with, or if not, I have a few.
You cut out there a little bit. You want to retake that?
On to JonCon theories. What sort of theories do you guys have? And anyone in the audience who has JonCon theories who wants to discuss them, you are welcome to come on in. Any from our other guests, Captain Sizvarv?
Yeah, if I can start. So JonCon's always been a little confusing to me personally because to me he seems very much like a mystery box character. While we can understand some of his motivations, like what drives him as a person and why he's doing what he's doing, I've never really understood the purpose of his character. And while almost every other character that we get POVs of, like especially the more prominent names like Danny and John and whatever, we can really understand the story that's trying to be told there. He seems to be very much of a enigma as far as like was George writing this character into the story. There are a few possible explanations, but I think kind of that why is what fuels a lot of the theories, be they like Greyscale related or his alliances or whatever battle plans he has for Aegon. Like those are sort of the three camps of theories I see. Those kind of all. Why is Martin writing POVs from this character? What is the end game? What are we building towards here? Because there has to be some good reason. It's just we can't really narrow down what it is yet.
I want to
guess the-
address that, and how
Go ahead.
dare you? Like, I think JonCon is very important in the POV view, and besides, he's only had 2 POV chapters so far, so it's not like George has wasted our time on him like for no reason. But anyways, like he's our POV, and I think the most natural POV to Aegon's rise pre and I think he's pretty much the emotional core of the Aegon story, because he's just this kind of headstrong youth. I don't really like. Maybe we'll get a POV later or something, but I just don't think there's all that much to that character. He's kind of just boy, you know. And JonCon has this like deep emotional life, like insecurities about his past and what happened with Rhaegar and that kind of thing. Like I think it's really important of the story George is trying to tell.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't. I'm
I think
sorry.
I think you're right on point of what's important about him here. And I just want to fill in that like might have a prologue with Aegon where we get to see his thought or anything like that, but I don't think it's gonna be a POV. I think it's gonna stay JonCon, and from other than following Aegon along, because at this point we have Ariane. She just doesn't know the backstory and such of Aegon, but JonCon is very important because he knows Rhaegar a lot. So I think that's the main purpose, other than showing, some insight into Aegon.
What do we think is JonCon's theme? Right, if Jaime's like sort of theme is something about like obligations to exes and honor, right? I think every character has a theme. What do you think is JonCon's?
And that's what I was getting at. Not that I don't think JonCon is supremely well written and one of my favorite POVs from A Dance with Dragons, because he certainly is. Like, I don't mean to insinuate that. It's just that, as Nick is saying, I think his theme is a lot more mysterious, personally. I think it could go a few different directions. There seems to be hints that it's sort of a reflection of Jaime's, with his regret that he didn't burn Stony Sept and instead tried to pursue honor. Like, maybe that there are things higher than honor. That's one possibility. It could go other ways, or with how the story is coming full circle with him. Like, he had loss, and now he's trying to regain what he once had in a way where he'll never quite get back to the glory he wanted, but he's still going to try, even though he knows he's going to die. Very selfless is the impression I'm getting, and maybe that's the theme, but I personally don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't think at all. I think he's plagued by massive feelings of inferiority.
Well, that's kind of the point. Like, I think time is very much hitting the nail on the head there, but I would like to add that it's very much a retribution arc for him. Like, there's redemption that he's longing for, but I think it remains to be seen if the value system that he's following to get that redemption, if it's ultimately worth it,
Yeah, so it seems, okay, well, I'll throw a softball. We're all agreed. Does anybody not think that JonCon is gay and was absolutely in love with Rhaegar?
Totally gay.
I mean, I didn't treat him like that, honestly.
I personally don't think it's as set in stone as everyone says, but it's certainly there. It's certainly headed towards. I don't see a reason to deny it. It's not as overt as everyone makes it out to be.
Yeah.
Well, of course not. This is George's writing we're talking about. Like, he's subtle. But that guy's fabulous, let me tell you.
Okay. All right.
Isn't he called Rhaegar, my dear Rhaegar, something along those lines? So
called him my Silver Prince.
Did he do that?
Yes, I have a search of Ice and Fire. I can pull it up.
You don't have to do it if you say so. Then yeah. Casamira says yeah. Well, that's telling for sure.
And then the other thing was that Martin himself said that there was a gay POV in A Dance with Dragons.
Oh well,
they never said who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not really anyone else that falls into the category. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's Ariane. Unless by gay do we mean men?
She's bi. Yeah. It's not the same thing.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, correct. I'm just thinking over the other POVs.
It's also very Dornish of her, so it's nothing special, really.
Yeah, I think that has to be JonCon. Yeah, I think it is. So back to JonCon's theme. If we can put it in one sentence, what is it?
One each, I guess?
Or just, I don't know, if we can brainstorm together, what is JonCon's theme? Like, what is JonCon's theme, and what sort of, where's the best place to go with him? He's dying. He has, he feels as though he's a failure.
I would just
he's obsessed with his honor.
I would say do or die. but that has a lot to do with the grayscale. So that's very simplistic of me. So
I would say it's rediscovering himself, basically.
Once he
And
rediscovered himself, who would he be?
That remains to be seen. Don't ask me. I haven't read The Winds of Winter.
so, and that's kind of what I'm getting towards. It seems like his current theme and direction is sort of open, and that's one of the things I'm excited about in this project. Like, are we going to get JonCon POVs? We're certainly going to see more of them. I don't see why we wouldn't. Preston wouldn't give us JonCon outlines. But
Well, my guess is. Go ahead, finish it.
are you going to say that, like, when he meets up with Arianne, it's just all going to be Arianne POVs? Because JonCon seems like, I know theories, there's been a little bit of veiling of all of JonCon's thought, because he seems to know some things that Martin doesn't want the reader to know yet.
No, I was gonna say like my thoughts on John Conn's, like where he's going as a character.
Oh, so for that, like, theme-wise, again, still pretty open, but I get a lot of contradictions out of his character. He's both very tempered and wise, but also now that he's about to die, like, that's maybe going out the window. He's very slow and deliberate at times, but he's also very emotional. He cares about honor to an extent, but he's starting to regret that a lot more. He's kind of getting a late existential crisis or something, where all of his beliefs seem to be coming into some sort of conflict, and the catalyst for that was him getting Greyscale and coming to terms with his own mortality. So I think his theme is kind of going to be like the reconciliation of the fundamental contradictions in the nature of war. That's what I'm going to go with for now.
that's deep.
Reconciliations of the fundamental contradictions of war.
That was way more than one word.
That was a sentence. I thought I got a sentence.
He had a sentence.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was a few sentences.
Yeah, I was just justifying it.
You-
No, that's good. Like
No
reconciliation of no, that's fine.
You need to type that sentence down because I will forget it.
Okay, I'll send it somewhere in announcements. Ping
we
everyone.
gotta
Tag everyone.
Yeah.
So my thinking is that Road to Hell is going to be paved with good intentions. He's being used by Varys to put Aegon on the throne. Whoever Aegon secretly is, we probably will never learn. I think he has learned exactly the wrong lessons from his prior experiences. He was humiliated by Robert and Tywin for his JonCon's perceived inadequacies, and I think he's going to come back I think he's returning as a very he'll do anything to get his way. He will, fly false banners. He will, use Greyscale as a biological weapon. He will be utterly and totally ruthless and destroy everything in front of him.
Damn.
And because he thinks that is I think that's the lesson that he learned from Robert's rebellion and his failures therein. So I see a ridiculous level of brutality in a person who he's not gonna stop. He's extremely competent, and he's a very good leader, and those combination of factors put together, I think he's going to be a very dangerous person going forward.
Well, he is definitely dangerous, but he's been dangerous he was dangerous before he fell into alcoholism and depression or whatever for a decade or more. But I can't really say that I agree with your assessment about where he's going. Sure, there might be, because now he's got the grayscale and he knows he's gonna die, so there might be some recklessness to his character, and maybe some ruthlessness as well. But I really think you're kind of overselling it there. I don't think it would be a breach of character for him to go all in on that kind of thing.
He's already gone all in. He's invaded the Seven Kingdoms.
Well,
Yeah,
so,
personally,
That's
I'm going to
just
agree with
warrior
Nick.
shit.
I'm going to agree with Nick. I know, like, Kevin Lannister also thinks that JonCon's going to be one of the biggest threats to the throne. I know part of that is just
He
because he
is.
has an army and whatever, but I think he's going to go down the more ruthless path. I don't think that's character breaking. That now that he's staring death in the face, I think he's not going to receive that with take my time and pursue the honorable route, when his character has specifically been reflecting on how pursuing the honorable route has cost him in the past. I think he's going to want to flip back over to being more rash, being more direct, more of the ends justify the means sort of stuff, and kind of going down that route. And Royan had a really good point that he threw in the voice chat, that it's his attempt to extend Rhaegar's legacy by any means necessary. I think that's a very good summation of his motivations, and because he has such a specific and emotionally driven motivation, he's not going to be as rational or as paced, especially with the grayscale. That's my
He's
opinion.
already not as rational. Like for years, he's been taking his time. Now all of a sudden, he's a clock on his life, and now he's taking crazy risks already.
I agree with that. I think it's very interesting that JonCon could be as brutal as you say, and I think it makes sense. I think it's very interesting how we all, or at least so far, it seems that people agree that Aegon will be the pretty boy prince who will, look so perfect and all to the at least the small folk, if not the houses as well. But like, how do you reconcile a brutal JonCon with I don't know how to describe Aegon, but like the true king, the prince that was promised, whatever. Like, how can you support Aegon when you have JonCon making these ruthless acts, basically in Aegon's name? It's gonna be very interesting, but I don't know how you reconcile that. Really.
Yeah, I really think that you're like kind of making conjectures on where his story is going. Like I do agree that he's going to be more reckless and that kind of thing, but I don't think there's all that much evidence that he's like broken bad in that way, like quite that radically. Like sure, he's invaded, but he's a battle commander. That's war. It's a different thing. Like when he went to Griffin's Roost, Griffin's Nest, whatever. He didn't like put everyone to the sword, and even now he's as he's trying to take Storm's End, he's gonna do it by trickery, not killing everybody. It seems to me that he's kind of trying to avoid like wanton killing and try to get allies. That's why he's trying to project power before
That
he actually has it.
that makes sense if he wants to preserve Rhaegar's memory as well. Like, he just makes sure he wins, but he doesn't overstep. He doesn't um, massacre people, basically.
Exactly.
I think that brings us to the next topic, Storm's End. Does he have it at the end of Ariane 2? The Winds of Winter, they claim that they have taken Storm's End and they're going to bring Ariane in to go check it out. Ariane agrees. Her men don't want her to, but she agrees anyway, and now she's off to go there. When she arrives, will Storm's End be taken?
I don't
I think
see
it
a.
makes sense.
You mean
I
if it
think it
has
makes
been
sense as well.
taken, or if it will be taken
They,
as
they claim it has already been taken.
It hasn't been fucking taken. That's a smokescreen.
I
Yeah,
don't
why?
see. I don't see why they would lie. Like, I know people lie. I'm not surprised by that. I just
I think
don't see
it's
the purpose of the bluff.
I think
Are
it's
you
this.
saying that Lysono Mar is not a paragon of honesty?
Okay, I think it's because of the same I've seen a few theories, at least, that people will mix up the flags. Correct? There is a yellow Baratheon flag on top of
Yeah,
Storm's
that's
End.
Preston's theory.
Yeah. So there you go. And the Golden Company, right, uses pretty much the same banner. So
Yes.
it would be as easy for them to take Storm's End by using banners to their benefit, and of course that would mean that it's equally easy for someone else to mistake a banner as one or the other, I think.
They can just surround the castle, say, "Hey, we've taken it. Just look at the banner right there. See, it's gold."
Yeah, we're
You know,
not
like
at war.
just don't get too close.
Come to
Don't look.
think of it, there's like a very curious thing that I just thought of. Like, it's not intentional on George's part, definitely not. But there's kind of a maybe foreshadowing for this kind of thing in a Clash of Kings when Renly says to Stannis that it's good that you have this new banner because it would be terribly confusing. And that was right
Yes.
Yeah.
next to Storm's End.
This is
I don't
true.
know if that's unintentional or not.
But
It
we do
could
have
be.
a
He's a
precedent.
sneaky.
We do have a precedent for banners getting switched up around Storm's End, apparently. So, like, I think that's possible. But even if that theory holds true, like, I still think that Storm's End's already been taken. Like, because of the way the sample chapters work, JonCon 1 might have, like, happened before Ariane 2, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't completely understand everything, but it's totally possible that that's all already transpired chronologically, and because of the nature of the POVs, we're just out of order.
Like, sure, you can make that argument, but I would say that, like, JonCon is a tricky motherfucker, and that's trickery on his part. Like, he's trying to project power in a sense that he's like creating reality, because as we know, power resides where people think it resides. You know, so if he makes the realm believe he's powerful, then he's gonna be powerful.
How many
Ooh.
people are holding Storm's End anyway? Isn't it
About
like
200.
Everybody.
that's 200? That's what I thought.
It's not confirmed, but that's a good number to go by.
It's a good garrison, and it's a very fortified castle. So
We actually don't know if it's a good garrison or not. There's a few questions about that.
okay, but 200 people still, with like the strength of the castle, it's my understanding that if they would have taken it that quickly, it would still have to have been by trickery. I guess that does suggest that it's more likely that it isn't taken, but I still don't really see a reason that there would be a bluff. And the Winds of Winter is just weird because of what parts we do have of it, and doubtful canonicity of some stuff that's in the process of getting edited from the 5-year gap and everything.
Could it just be PR, rumors, like demoralization?
For
Yeah,
sure.
that's what I'm thinking.
So, gosh, I do. So Preston's, I'll go over Preston's like plan, what he thinks is going to happen, and then I'll kind of put in some of my own thoughts. So his analysis is that there's about 200 loyal men to Stannis in Storm's End. The guy in charge is Gilbert Faring. He's a trusted, he's one of Stannis' trusted men. His second in command would probably be Elwood Meadows, who is not so trustworthy. He used to support Renly, and he's 22 years old, something around there. So basically, if Elwood Mellows decides to change loyalty for any reason, then that could be one way that JonCon could get in. Preston also thinks that it's likely that Ariane will be used as under a peace banner, and they'll sneak her into the castle as some sort of trick, and then pull out knives and kill the people who are guarding the gate as they let her in. Something along those lines. And then rush the castle after that. So that's I think that's his general plan. There's also the second part of his outlines that there's the Battle of Steel, which is 20,000 men from Mace Tyrell is going to be sending them down to Storm's End to reclaim the siege. So basically, Mace was sieging, then he left a token force behind, and while he went to go deal with King's Landing and Marjorie, and then he's going to be coming back with his large army after the events in King's Landing conclude. I believe that's the situation and Preston's plan. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah.
I think it's partially too speculative. I mean, I'm not going to say it's possible that there's any flaws with the logic. It's just I feel like there's a lot of ifs and skips on projecting things forward, and that just never really worked in A Song of Ice and Fire before.
Oh.
I appreciate the Prepping for Winds like series as a whole, but when it gets a little more speculative on possible future events, I think it's important to realize how open-ended these things actually are.
Are you saying that since it's a plan, it's gonna fail like all other plans in this series?
That
Depends
and
on
just
if it's been stated. It has to be stated for it
Yeah,
to
it's
fail.
not a. This is a secret plan.
Okay.
But
Then-
also when we are rooting for a POV and we're like, okay, I see this way that they could succeed, or the way things are going to work out, or the way things are going to go for the next half a book, and you read it and it goes horribly awry, because it never works out the way you think it's going to.
I mean,
Um,
worst case
again-
scenario here is that they start besieging it, or like they try to win it by guile, they fail, and they're stuck besieging it, and they either move on, or they waste enough time for Danny to swoop in with a dragon, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
going to
but
be some
May-
time.
Yeah.
Mace
For sure.
Tyrell's coming towards them with 4-1 odds, so
Hmm.
they need to get moving on something. I mean,
True.
half the Golden Company's like missing in action currently.
It's not 4-1. It'd probably be 2-1.
20,000 to 5,000.
But they are
is
scattered, like all their forces are
Good.
all over the place.
Yeah,
half the Golden
there's.
Company is missing.
Yes, yeah, and I'm assuming that
And the
they'd probably
elephants.
show up before Mace.
If they show up before Mace, then that's still 2-1.
Yeah.
And they would still probably be somewhat disorganized. And that's still horrible odds for them. So, JonCon has to either have some genius battle tactic, which can't solve everything, or he has to have some allies that he's got to get really quickly. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of the theories stem from. But they seem like they're in a very rough spot right now, even if they have taken Storm's End.
G just posted in the comments an interesting theory. Mace
Sure.
the Ace will swear to Aegon in exchange for pardoning Marjorie.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
I've heard that theory before, and I really like it. Because the Tyrells, for some reason, joining Aegon's cause seems to be really the only good shot they have at getting to King's Landing by like the halfway mark of the Winds of Winter. Meaning the whole Battle of Steel just doesn't happen. Which I'd be
I
fine
believe
with.
Preston's theory is that everyone defects to Aegon except for the Tyrells. So like the Redwynes and maybe even like the Ironborn.
So all the houses.
Yeah, I don't see
upwards-
why the Tyrells would want to hold with the Lannisters when the Lannisters and Tyrells by themselves are clearly doomed. If everyone joins Aegon, like I would think the Tyrells they would have interest in defecting, as they already did with Renly to
Yeah,
Lannisters.
what's their loyalty to Lannister right now? Like, they don't have the marriage to... Oh, wait, is
Yeah,
Marjorie...
they are Tommen.
Oh, yeah, but...
they're
you
not
got-
really married yet.
And let us not
exactly.
forget that Tommen is a Baratheon. You know, the son of the king.
Quote unquote.
Sure, but you can overthrow the king if you join someone else, I guess.
But
Yeah,
I
and
just
Marjorie's-
wanna say on this that I 100% agree with time. We need the Lannister to fall, like seriously, because as a preface, do we all agree that JonCon is gonna die at the end of this book?
I would
Yo.
say so, yeah.
I'm not so convinced because every time we have a doomed character, who knows? Like it could be a clever subversion if he somehow survives longer than expected or whatever. Or he tries to go out with a bang expecting his own mortality and then he actually survives. Like what we were talking about with Obara having a purpose to still live, or some other character.
I mean, you
I was
make
thinking Sweet Robin as well.
a good point, and why
That's interesting point.
why would Game of Thrones save Jorah if... Well, I mean, he didn't really do anything other than after that either. You know, he just joined up with Danny, he fought some White Walkers, and he died anyway. So,
To quote our dear leader, fuck Jorah.
Okay.
No, but what I was gonna say, that we really need the Lannister regime to fall, because I think Aegon, if the JonCon arc of him dying holds true, I really think that he should die with Aegon on the throne, so that it will be emotionally satisfying, you know. And for that to happen, it has to be at the end of the second act that Aegon becomes
Okay.
king, you know.
Have we-
And for that to happen, I really think that the Tyrells have to defect. There's no other way. And also, it would be, you know, poetic justice for Cersei. She has it totally coming for her, you know.
I mean,
One
Sure,
big
yeah.
problem with that.
Mhm.
One big problem with that. When have we ever had a POV have an emotionally satisfying death? Like, that has never happened, right? And
Mr.
I
Raymond.
don't.
Yes.
Kevin.
I guess that's true, but not a POV.
It was Kevin. Was it that Laris killed? Was it?
Yeah, Kevin's the epilogue for Dance with Dragons, killed by Varys.
I mean,
I could have sworn you said Laris. That was
Yeah, he did say
confusing.
Laris.
oh my god, no.
Watching too
Laris-
much HD.
Laris time travels, kills Kevin.
It's true.
It all makes sense now.
Mhm.
That's like Littlefinger Jetpack 2.0.
Well, when you
Yeah.
say emotionally satisfying, you mean for the character, right? Because like his death was great in the
Yeah.
chapter,
JonCon getting Aegon on the throne, disposing the Lannisters,
and then
dying knowing he had fulfilled Rhaegar's legacy, did everything he wanted to, happily ever after.
Well,
Not gonna happen.
that
Even
does-
no, I mean
yeah, no, I'm with you. But that doesn't mean he can't die earlier, right? Like he can die before he does that. He doesn't have to survive it. Is what I'm getting at.
yeah, and I don't know. I'm still not convinced that JonCon is as doomed as he is, because there's like how Greyscale works and everything is not fully understood, and with the resurgence of magic, possible cures or
Yeah,
ways that Greyscale will no longer be as effective
true.
may
Yeah,
arise, and I really
You
don't
think
know.
it gives you telepathic powers?
What?
Grayscale?
What?
What
That
is
was out of
Yeah.
left field.
Wow.
Nick just pops in with the
Yeah.
logic bomb right there.
Yeah, because the stone men, they're all being controlled by the what's his name, Shrouded
The
Lord.
Shrouded Lord.
Oh
We
my
don't even
god.
We
Is
don't
it
even know that
telepathic
he
bacteria?
exists. You don't even know that the Shrouded Lord exists.
Is it the
Is it a
leeches?
telepathic virus? No, this would be a whole new
We
thing.
have enough hive minds already.
Yeah,
No,
don't
we
need
need
another
more.
one.
I really hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
yeah. I mean,
Listen, when you're in a George R. R. Martin story and you see something confusing, just generally assume that there's a telepathic hive-minded fungus that's running things.
yeah. I mean,
It just
sure.
makes sense.
So
Well, that's
all the
a
theories
fair
that
point, but-
JonCon- all the
but
theories that
also the-
JonCon-
Sorry,
we're
sorry, you
talking
go
over
ahead.
each other. I was gonna say all the theories that JonCon spreads Greyscale through the bottoms of King's Landing and everything. It's gonna be like all the small folk are gonna be a telepathic hive mind in King's Landing, and we're gonna get like some dragon storming of the dragon pit 2.0 scenario when Dany shows up, because all the small folk are gonna be this. Anyway, that was my deep theory for today. I'm sure you have something more important.
Oh,
Cass
yeah.
is here
Ah,
to-
hey, Cass.
Brought in
Oh no,
Lady
I'm in
Casamara.
trouble. I am in trouble.
I think she's gonna want to talk
Uh-oh.
about the telepathic fungus.
Oh, definitely.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get here so late. I just got home.
Oh, no wonder.
That's
No,
fine.
no problem.
JonCon dying. Yes.
Did you hear about the telepathic fungus?
That's it.
Yes, I
Please.
did, and I was trying to figure out where that came from. I was very confused for a second. But I
Yeah,
don't
tell
think
us, Nick, where did you get that from?
Came out of left field.
It
Totally.
came from the Shrouded Lord and everything.
Yeah,
From behind the tree, as Finns say.
gotta
Really
spice
finish
things
it,
up in the podcast every once in a while.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
get spicy.
Throw out
Yeah,
some
Because
crazy.
the Song of Ice and Fire isn't spicy enough. Yeah.
nothing crazy happening in the story already.
Well, I don't think I came up with that. The idea, well, maybe I did. That
If
the
you did, that's actually a pretty good idea. It's
it just
I
came
don't
to me
believe
right
it at
now.
all.
You
But-
have to put
You
this
should
on
write a
vision.
fanfic or something.
Yeah, you gotta put
Yeah.
this on the forum where they have all these theories, you know.
Yeah, I should do a fanfic about telepathic parasites. That'd be a great idea. Um, no, but I think like if the Shrouded Lord does tell people who gets and who does not get Greyscale, and he does seem to communicate with Tyrion through a dream somehow, right? There might be something there, and knowing George, there's always something weird going on behind the surface, under the surface.
Yeah, it's
I don't want
possible. Okay, Cash, go ahead.
I don't want to like poo-poo the idea or anything, but I think looking at it from a more meta context, we know that George intended for Tyrion to actually meet the Shrouded Lord in person, and the dream chapter kind of became an amalgamation of what he imagined because he loved the chapter so much he didn't want to throw it away. So I don't know if that really lines up.
I think the logic would still sound is still sound. If the Shrouded Lord can send visions, right, then he's some sort of telepathic hive mind, whatever. And even if it's in its own chapter, if it's in a dream sequence, somehow it's getting from A to B.
That's
But
interesting.
why would he be interested in Tyrion?
Because he's Gerion Lannister.
Because he's Gerion, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have
It
you
is
heard that?
known. I thought this theory was pretty commonplace, but maybe not.
Now that we got into the spicy territory, like I was gonna say this earlier, but then the conversation kind of went on, that I really agree with Time on the speculative stuff. Because full disclosure, I'm not really a theory guy as such. I'm just a nerd who likes Preston by happenstance. But I kind of dislike theories that are like pure conjecture. Like, of course, I have some ideas on where the story is going, but I much prefer like takes that are based on what has already happened in the story and what makes sense from a writing perspective and what has been foreshadowed and what are the thematic parallels that we can look into, you know?
Well, we are writing a fanfic, so we do need to look forward, more so than looking. I mean, as much as we
Yeah,
look back, we have to look forward.
of course, I'm
Like we
just
need a
talking
plan
about
for.
the fandom at large.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know much about the fandom at large.
I would agree with Varv. I think that where I become less open to theories is when they build on other theories.
Mhm.
Because then it's not textual analysis. It's just, well, if X is true, then Y is true. So really,
Yeah.
this other thing is true. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Damn, shots
follow.
fired on Preston.
Yeah, and R plus
So
LE
like,
okay, but
yeah. So I'll do the explain the Gerion Lannister thing real quick. Essentially, so Tyrion has this dream, and then they say that the Shrouded Lord can give people grayscale, and he chooses who he gives it to. He chose to give it to JonCon and not to Tyrion. Tyrion has a dream where he meets the Shrouded Lord, and it has his father's face, and it seems like he's going to give him grayscale, but then he chooses not to. And Preston's idea is who on Planetos knows, like, would want to give Tyrion grayscale, think about it, hesitate, and not do it. And right before this happens, Tyrion also talks about how, like, he shouts out to the river about how he killed his father and how he and who Aegon was. And basically the idea goes is that Gerion Lannister left, he's been roaming around, became the Stone King or whatever, and he just suddenly heard from Tyrion that Tyrion killed Tywin, and that immediately he sent his stone men on him, and then thought about it and said, I kind of like Tyrion more than I like Tywin. I'm going to spare him. That's the idea of the theory.
Also, there's the thing with the laughter that the Shrouded Lord only
Yeah.
supposedly gives it to people that can make him laugh, and one of Gerion's only defining characteristics was kind of his humorous side and whatnot.
He gives it to people who make him laugh, or
That's the
reverse?
story. Is that I thought it's I can double check, but that if you make him laugh, you get Greyscale. The Shrouded Lord will grant. It just says grant a boon. Sorry, to any
get
man
the
who
gift.
can make him laugh. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe maybe the boon being protection.
Yeah, whatever. It's just that ties to Gerion. I had heard that theory a lot. I didn't know it was Preston's theory or that it wasn't that popular.
Hmm.
Thank you for explaining. This is just kind of random. On the gift, I had just always assumed that the boon was like it was giving the gift of mercy of death. But
Yeah.
I could like that was just
It's
what I
That's
interesting.
creepy.
saw when I read it.
They say the Shrouded Lord will grant a boon to any man who can make him laugh.
Why wouldn't he just grant them grayscale? Like, for him, that's a boon. Like, a boon is
I was-
subjective.
Oh yes, I agree. Sorry, sis. I definitely agree. It is grayscale, but I was just like, oh, grayscale, death.
Well, no, I'm
yeah,
thinking
exactly.
the inverse.
Grayscale is also death.
A slow death, yeah.
It could be either,
Sometimes.
depending on who said this quote, the boon quote.
This is Lamore, right? I have it in the wiki.
In Tyrion 3, Dance with Dragons.
No, I thought it was Lamore. It's not. Time to go to a search of ice and fire.
Yeah, someone
right
posted, and then we'll get it.
Give me a second.
Look up the word boon in Tyrion 3, A Dance with Dragons. We're gonna figure this out live.
Huh.
Here, while someone's finding that, I'll look at the voice chat.
Alright. Not much going on. The benefits of an Aegon and Marjorie
Okay, I got
alliance
it.
and marriage.
Yeah, people have not been
I got
typing,
it.
they've been busy listening. Could you post it in a voice chat?
Yeah, it
Damn,
says
sis,
Halden.
you've been really active in the chat. Like, how do you do it? That's like crazy multitasking.
It's because I prioritize the text chat than over the voice chat, honestly.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
someone doing that.
Yeah, I got it in the voice chat
Okay.
now. It's
Mhm.
Halden, though.
You want to read it out, or?
This time Duck left, and Halden said, "What a droll little fellow you are, Yolo. They say that the Shrouded Lord will grant a boon to any man who can make him laugh. Perhaps his grey grace will choose to ornament you, Perhaps his grey grace will choose you to ornament his stony court."
That's definitely making him a stone man.
Yeah, so that's definitely making you a stone man, or something worse.
Oh.
Well, maybe the Shrouded Lord considers the Greyscale as a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's the point of his character, is that he thinks grayscale is a cool thing, which does feed into your hive mind theory. But
Yeah, that's what I was going.
Are dragons immune to grayscale, by the way, or could that be a way to make stone dragons, like in the prophecy?
Well, I don't know. Does it jump?
Oh my
I could be wrong, but I think there was a Targaryen who got grayscale.
Yeah, but did the dragon get grayscale though?
That would
Oh,
be so awesome. Like, instead of the show White Dragon or whatever,
Yeah.
we got a Stone Dragon. Oh, and the prince that was promised, he wakes the Stone Dragon. So fuck. This is
there is no record of any Targaryen getting grayscale.
Okay.
But
So
sorry,
like
my
to
bad.
no, it's
Don't
fine. I'd
take
like to
this
think
theory from me.
it's still cool, but I like to think that because dragons are like fire-made life, that they would somehow be more immune to more traditional diseases which impact humans.
yeah.
And I don't see any records of. I'm looking at the wiki. I don't see any records of grayscale infecting anything other than humans.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think grayscale is like all that traditional though. Like the
Oh.
text
No.
seems to
This
imply
is-
that it's like semi-magical at least.
I agree,
Time.
and it still would be really cool if it like hopped over to dragons. But what were you gonna say, Cash?
Now that we are all in agreement that Greyscale is a time-traveling telepathic fungus,
Nick, you're getting muted.
Don't forget the leeches.
Yeah.
Oh, do you guys remember Maygal? I think you call her.
What?
She got Greyscale, the daughter of Alysanne and
Oh, no.
Jaehaerys. That's the one from
I
today.
see it on the wiki now. How did I ignore that?
Oh.
I just saw Septed Maygal, and I was
Well,
skipping.
Obviously,
Oh, gosh.
that was
You're
a
right,
bastard.
Kat.
Must have been a bastard. It's the only way.
By the way, speaking
Makes
of her,
sense.
total unrelated segue. But in the House of Dragon, Rhaenys as a character, like she had a she had a shitload of siblings, right? And they all died young. Like I get that you have to cut stuff from the show, but I really would like it as a character moment to like allude to that somehow, that she's had like a lot of tragedy in her life.
You want to head back to Storm's End?
Sure.
Sure.
Sorry
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Yep. No. That's an interesting point. I have a list of like bullet points on things relevant to JonCon, but we don't have to. We can do whatever we want.
I would like to flesh out JonCon, so we have that done. Perhaps.
And after you're done, I'd like
Do
to
we?
say something.
Oh yeah, you can start with that though. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
I
Is
just-
your thing? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's pretty quick. I was just saying at the very beginning, when we were talking about the themes of JonCon, I said that there's kind of 3 categories that his theories fall into. The ones around Greyscale, the ones around battle and battle tactics, and then the ones around like alliances he has. And we've talked quite a bit about both the battle tactics and the Greyscale. But we haven't talked about alliances, by which I mean, of course, friends in the Reach,
Yeah.
and what all that means. So it would be nice to move into that shortly.
Yeah, let's start there. Why not?
Okay, so who do you think the friends in the Reach are? I like to think House Hightower. It just ties back into what we were saying about the Tyrells defecting or not defecting. I had it pulled up on Search of Ice and Fire that the idea is that Friends in the Reach is referring to how the Tyrells actually don't have as much power over the Reach as they thought. So JonCon at least still views House Tyrell as an adversary, which suggests that they won't defect towards his cause.
All right. With House of the Dragon in mind, shouldn't the Hightowers be anti-Targaryens though, or have they gotten past that at this point?
I think House Hightower cares about House Hightower.
Oh, all right. That's fair.
Yeah, they got their own thing going on. I've just heard it. I've heard it most commonly that Friends in the Reach refers to House Hightower.
Well,
I
Preston
just like
believes.
that.
Preston believes that they're the Redwynes. And the Friends in the Reach line, if I remember correctly, it's actually not the Friends in the Reach of the Golden Company. It's the Friends in the Reach of, I think, Wisewell Pate, I think is his name. And I think he's somehow related to the Redwynes. If someone can find the house,
I'm pulling it up now.
the Friends of the Reach line.
Yeah. If someone can remind me, there's only the Fossaways that have like the same banners with different colors, right?
Yeah, red and green.
Yeah.
No, isn't there?
Is there another one?
Is there Redwynes?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, isn't there like two kinds of red wines? But I might be wrong here.
Okay, so there's 2 Friends in the Reach quotes. I'm gonna post them both in voice chat real quick.
Yep.
They're saying basically the same thing, but one says that there's friends in the Stormlands and the Reach, which is interesting. There are the friends in the Stormlands as well.
It's good to check who says it.
So the first one is by Oswell Pike, and the second one is by I don't know actually. I think that's JonCon himself.
Laswell Peak rapped his knuckles on the table. Even after a century, some of us still have friends in the Reach. The power of Highgarden may not be what it Mace Tyrell imagines. So and then Laswell Peak. I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, well, it's generally true that whatever Mace fucking Tyrell thinks isn't true.
This is true.
Like, the
Mm,
guy is
yes.
totally clueless.
Yeah, I mean, we know the Tyrells don't have full control over the Reach anyway. Like, that's kind of just obvious. But also, House Florent always seems to be sort of gunning for them at some level, so it's possible that they could be friends as well.
True.
But that would just be more like personal motivation. The quote makes it seem like there's an alliance that is like has a vested interest in helping out the Aegon cause, not just trying to increase their own house power like Hightower or Florence. So it sort of fits the Redwyne theory, but I don't know.
I wonder if these friends are already set in stone or whatever you want to call it. Like, does he know he has these allies, or does he have to vie for their loyalty, to make them swear to Aegon? Like, how is that gonna come to be?
Again,
it's-
I'm gonna be repeating myself. I'm a broken record. Like, that's the whole point of the trickery, and why he's sending false messages about Storm's End being taken. Like, he's projecting power that he doesn't have, precisely to get the lords in the realm by thinking he's powerful, to
Yeah,
make him powerful, because they wouldn't ally with him and Aegon if they didn't think they were gonna win the war.
that makes sense.
So, so when he says even after a century, he's going to be referring to the old Blackfire rebellions. So if we look at those, if we look at the last Blackfire rebellion and figure out who those houses were, it'd probably tell us.
True.
Generally, I think. Oh,
No,
generally, I do agree with Barb right here. Although we might disagree on Storm's End being taken. It seems like JonCon and Aegon are attempting to project power that they don't really have a full grasp on. So while I am more skeptical of any claims towards century-old friendships in the Reach, I think that there's plenty of modern reasons that people like Randyll Tarly would be poised to jump over to Aegon.
Release another possibility.
Well, I
In
also think that like
general,
everyone south of the Vale is like, except for House Lannister, is ready to abandon House Lannister and jump to the Aegon cause for one reason or another, at least tentatively. So I think.
Oh, I was thinking more about how Tywin and Mace Tyrell in particular really screwed Randyll Tarly over when they gave what is it? They gave Garland a keep, and the most likely heir would have been Randyll Tarly's wife, who's a Florent, if I recall. It's
Brightwater Keep.
Brightwater Keep. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Castellan from the Florence, one of Stannis's. The Castellan of Lady Silly's Florent is still holding on to that thing. Garland has an army around there that was gonna take it, then he left to go deal with Euron. So there's just like this constant siege that's been going on in the Arbor for quite a while. I think that's the one you're referring to.
It's been a siege in the Arbor.
Yeah, Brightwater Keep.
Is that located on the island, the Arbor?
Oh no, sorry, I meant the Reach. Excuse me.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah. So there's yeah. So I don't remember that having anything to do with Randyll Tarly, Casamora, but I think that's what you're referring to.
who's sieging that?
Do you
Garland
remember
Tyrell at the moment.
Do you remember after the Battle of Blackwater where they're handing out awards to people who are loyal? So
Mhm.
they give Brightwater Keep to Garland Tyrell, but Randyll Tarly is still fighting, I think, in the Riverlands or somewhere else at this point, and he isn't present until later in the small council. And I don't know, there's a small council meeting where they talk about how they're giving like tax breaks to the red wines because he wants to be able to import wine at like a cheaper cost or something. And the only person in the room who kind of gets massively screwed over, who like isn't there, is Randyll Tarly. And it's the chapter where the red wines are disgusted at Tywin because he brings up Alia's murder and like how he's going to get retribution, quote unquote.
Yeah, I might be misremembering this. You can correct me, but wasn't the last time we heard about Randall's whereabouts, like in the Brienne chapters, where he was keeping peace in the Crownlands?
I think
I'm
so.
reading the wiki right now. It says that his army reaches King's Landing before his. At Dance with Dragons, Randall's army reaches King's Landing before his liege lord, Mace Tyrell. The Faithful releases Marjorie and her cousins into the custody of Lord Tyrell, after Lord Tyrell swears a holy oath to return them for the trial. So, according to the
cool.
wiki, at least, he's at King's Landing.
That makes sense. I'm sorry, you're right. I must have misremembered. But that's
Yeah.
also kind of hilarious that
To be
once
fair,
again,
that's probably been a very small detail. Like I
Yeah.
doubt
It looks
we've
like
actually
he
seen him
appears in the
there.
epilogue. He doubts the identity of JonCon and Aegon as a Targaryen pretender, dismissing him as a feigned boy, in quotes. So
oh yeah, I do.
he's in King's Landing. So he's probably going to march south to JonCon. He could. Although Preston
so?
thinks it was a different guy. Preston thinks it was led by. I actually don't think he says. He says Mathis Rowan is holding the Tyrell token force, most likely, because he didn't show up in King's Landing. And then the Tyrell army of 20,000 is heading south. We don't know who's leading it, but probably the cavalry is led by Red Ronnet, who's furious about JonCon's fake tales of rape and torture or whatever. They said he was doing terrible things.
But yeah,
And
that's
so,
like a theory that he's the one
yes.
leading, right?
Yep.
Like, if Red Ronet's leading it, then yeah, there's not going to be a peaceful reconciliation, but that's a big if.
Well, we are running a fanfic. We gotta, like... I mean, Preston's in charge, but, like...
Preston's
planning
in charge.
stuff,
He thinks
like,
Red Ronnet.
Wait. We're running out of fanfic? What the hell do you
No,
mean?
we are running a fanfic.
Oh, we are. Yeah.
So, like when we say, like,
I could have
theories
sworn
about the
you said
future...
out of.
Yeah, no, we're almost done. It's a great news.
You're almost done, maybe.
Well,
Yeah, this will go on for years.
I was just thinking that if Preston's running it, then yeah. Friends in the Reach is going to be Red Wines, almost certainly. Red Ronet's going to show up. We're going to have the little banner switch. He has a pretty set in stone idea of what's going to happen in like the JonCon area and POVs that he outlined in the whole Prepping for Winter series. I don't imagine him changing that because Prepping for Winter was fairly recent, correct? And that almost seems like the prelude to this project because he lays out everything that he thinks is going to happen in Winds for the first half of Winds based on all those sample chapters. And that's what we're going through here. So that's kind of what I suspect. We've already been following that with Arrow 2, like following all of his Dornish plan stuff that he talked about in the Arian chapters in Prepping for Winter. I think we actually have a bit of an outline on what's all going to happen here already.
yeah, sounds good.
So I think I had one. Go ahead, Casamora.
I was just gonna say that seems like a really good point time. I would agree that the prepping for winter seems like a pretty apt outline for what he intends further along. I think the one part that I am confused about is why the Red Wines would turn their cloaks or switch sides to Aegon when they're so closely aligned with the Tyrells. But I don't know, that might just be part of the story I'm not super familiar with.
Preston does. He goes into this quite a bit. I believe in his Cersei and Tyene, or what's her name? The
Tana,
Cersei video, Tana Merriweather. He
Like,
goes
the
I
best
into it.
call it the
Cersei
One of
Reaper's
those.
supporting
Wolf.
character.
What's it?
Oh, the
I
best Cersei supporting character.
Oh, she's great.
She's so
Oh,
great.
I, oh, I couldn't explain it and give it justice, but I do think he is. I think he was related to the Blackfire rebellions, as well as the two Redwyne twins. The fact that after the Blackwater, Lord Redwyne didn't try and marry off either of them and solve
yeah.
that issue. He's thinking that they are scheming because they're holding off those marriages.
Yeah, what was the end goal with that? They're gonna marry someone? Or two people? Something?
Well, it looks like one of them, I don't remember which, was trying to court one of Marjorie's cousins. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember which one.
they were both in King's Landing and courting a lot. Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember this.
Yeah, and then yeah, essentially his idea goes that we don't know who the heir to the Redwynes is, and this is probably a problem in regarding feudal succession. So figuring out, essentially, Lord Redwyne had a bunch of opportunities to deal with this problem, and he hasn't. So he might have a plan for them in the future.
The
And
plan could
if
just
he,
the plan could just be that he looks to see he holds off on it, right? Figuring that both will get a better suitor if people think both might get the inheritance, right? But he could also decide on the one who will inherit based on what marriage they end up with.
I mean, if I was marrying, like, say I was like Tarly or someone, I wouldn't marry my daughter to him without some written guarantee. I'd make that part of the agreement.
I guess.
You're not going to surprise me after after the marriage, like,
I
that
guess
turns
you.
out my
Hey,
daughter's not going to be
guys,
getting it.
apologies. I need to cut in here. I really need to be going
All right.
at this point. So, thanks again, Nick, for having me, and you guys keep the fire burning and peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. We'll see you, master of ASMRs.
Take care.
Bye, Varv.
What was it?
Say goodbye. Let's see. So, well, at this point, wouldn't you marry your second sons and, you know, wait, they are both boys, aren't they? So,
Yep.
what's really the difference? I mean,
What do you mean? What's the difference? Like,
you
if say you're Lord Redwyne and
Yeah.
I'm another lord, I'm only gonna marry my daughter to you with some sort of guarantee that my daughter's gonna have the highest influence at court possible. Right? Like you can't
Yeah.
offer me a son and not tell me which one is the heir,
Yeah, all right.
and then like
I
you
follow
can't
you.
surprise me later. I wouldn't like make that agreement.
Yeah, but like you'd still marry into the Redwynes. So if like either you're looking at what she's gonna get in her, what she's gonna get when she gets married, like where she's gonna live, the money she's gonna have, etc., etc., or you're gonna look at. I lost my thread. There was another point.
Well, it weakens the alliance. Like, if we're forming an alliance between our houses, I want my daughter married to the firstborn son, not the second.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want him like sharing a bed. She has the Lord's ear.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you're the Tyrells, you wouldn't just marry one of your daughters off to the second born. Yeah.
And I think part of the other theory is that I saw this in a precedent video that if a certain number of Tyrells die, the Redwynes could inherit the Reach overall. I don't remember which someone said let me see. Someone posted something.
Roin.
Yeah. Preston thinks that one of them can inherit Highgarden through Mina Tyrell.
I think
Okay.
that if it comes to the point that someone outside of the Tyrells has a claim to Highgarden, there's going to be a war before, or some constitutional crisis before people start legitimately handing over that.
Mm-hmm. But isn't that a matter of succession outside of the Redwynes then? So the Redwynes are trying to capitalize on someone else's, not the other way around, or I guess they're trying to capitalize on each other's.
Did you say that again? I didn't catch
that. So we're talking about why would somebody marry your daughter to a Redwyne twin, right? Because you're not sure, right?
Yep.
And then here we have that people want to try to inherit Highgarden through Mina Tyrell. So at that point, you have three scenarios, right? One where people want the Redwyne stuff, and one where people want the Tyrell stuff. But the third scenario is the Tyrells and the Highgardens trying to marry with each other for the others' stuff. Or am I missing something here?
Name those one more time.
What? Okay, you have the Redwyne Twins, right?
Yeah.
You had Mina Tyrell. And
Sorry, I was looking up the family tree, and I was trying to put it on
right.
screen at the same time.
Yeah, you were.
And I just missed the last sentence.
Oh, okay. In the first scenario, people want the Redwyne stuff, the seat, whatever. And the second one, they want Highgarden through the Tyrell girl. And but then you also have the third scenario where the Tyrells and Redwynes would marry each other and trying to get the other one's inheritance, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I think the idea is that if Willis and Loris and Garland all die, it would pass straight to Horace Redwyne.
But what's the thing with Mina here then? Wouldn't she inherit?
She's married to Paxter Redwyne.
Ah, okay. Now
so this is Horace's mother.
So they want to kill off the other Highgarden, the Tyrells. Ah. Okay.
Yeah, so Willis, Garland, Loris.
All right. Okay. I think I've caught up on stuff now, so I'll shut up.
Oh, that's good. Give me one moment, please. AFK.
Yeah, so side note, who thinks that Euron is gonna travel up the, what's it called again, the Mander, River Mander? Or is he gonna travel around to King's Landing, or is he just not gonna figure into the end game at all?
I don't think he cares about King's Landing. I think his ambitions are much too big for that.
Alright, so where would he go? I mean, he's into dragons and magic and stuff, so wouldn't he try to go to Dany wherever she is?
Either that, or he's going to self-sacrifice in some sort of attempt to ascend, if that makes sense.
That kind of does, yeah. It's like the...
I think his own mortality means nothing to him at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. If he could summon whatever he wants to summon and die doing that, I think he would feel like he has accomplished something. And hopefully he would like end up inside the mind of that creature or warg and take over its mind. Maybe.
Yeah,
some weird messed up.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about Euron now.
Are you doing Kracken Aeron?
What?
Kracken Aeron.
What is that?
Aeron gets wargs into a kraken and destroys Old Town.
Are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Are you making stuff up again?
No. This is
That's
Are you talking?
Really?
What?
Are you talking about
Cash?
Are you talking
Cash
about?
is defending the baseless theories now.
This is like the one part of the story where I thought that I was way more tinfoil than you guys are, and then Nick just came in and like blew me out of the water. So,
Whoa. Kracken Aeron.
Can someone
No,
voice
that's
chat
not
post
happening.
a reference to Kracken Aeron?
When you say
I mean,
Aaron,
that's
do
a
you
cool
mean
theory.
Aaron? Do you mean Aaron?
Aeron Greyjoy.
All right, gotcha.
The damp hair. He's gonna, during the Battle of Blood, Kraken's gonna come to the surface, and then Aeron's going to like go into him, and he's gonna rip down Old Town and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna wander the Seven Seas with Euron, and
and not figure
Yeah,
into the
destroy
story.
everything.
No, it's not,
Yeah,
just
that almost
wander out
makes
of the
sense.
story.
He becomes the
I think-
drowned god.
I think that might be like, until you said he becomes the drowned god, I think that would have been like the darkest timeline
Yeah.
imaginable for
Oh,
Aeron.
So
for
great.
Aeron.
I love it. I want to see it. Have to see it.
I mean, so part of the idea goes that, like, Euron, like, we need Euron to be, like, an endgame level boss, right?
Yeah.
He's just a guy on a boat with a bunch of blood and whatever. Like, the
This
Redwyne
is
fleet should
slander,
be
and
able...
I will not stand for it.
Only now, once he transforms, once he completes the metamorphosis.
Yeah.
The ascension to demon.
Yeah, something to endgame boss,
Yeah.
right? And so the idea is, like, how do we make this guy... How do we buff his power level? And one of the ideas was, you know, can he warg?
Yes.
Like, Krakens, can he use them? You know, monsters rising from the deep sort of thing. And, like, I actually didn't invent... Actually, I might have invented it, but I know we've discussed it before in the Discord.
Mhm.
He's already like powerful enough. I don't know that he needs a buff. Like
Oh,
he somehow has full Valyrian armor. Like if that's true, like
Mhm.
who knows what he has? He's got a magic horn that can, make people do whatever he wants. He's got all the MacGuffins. He's got plenty of hidden plans. Like he's such a mystery box that George can do literally whatever he wants with him, and it will fit within the realm of what's been established for his character and not feel lore breaking.
Yeah.
That's how cool Euron is right now.
Yeah.
But
so
a lot of the intrigue from his character stems from the fact that he could do literally anything next, and we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the trickiness of the Winds of Winter, both for the fanfiction and for George, is going to be writing him in a way that keeps that level of eldritch horror without collapsing the cool construct of the character down to like a singular final boss. I think he's so much bigger than that, and that's the allure of his character.
I think the issue is that unless he figures in the end game, which I hope he does, the only solution I see is that he dies before he gets to do anything that is decisively explaining what the fuck is going on with Euron, which will leave him like as a mystery. You're like, oh my god, but he could have done something so cool, but like you don't know that. Like,
oh, I found the source of the tinfoil.
mm-hmm.
It is our very own Varv.
Oh gosh.
To clarify again, I'm probably gonna have Aeron die, but this Kraken thing is another idea I had. I usually don't have just one idea about a thing. Euron is trying to do the bidding, in my humble opinion, and then it is me, Peter, and him. I think it looks like the source of it.
Mm-hmm.
Time mentioned it before, so I feel like validated in bringing it up. But we've all heard of Poor Quentin's Eldritch Apocalypse, right?
Nope.
Say what?
Oh my gosh!
I haven't even heard of this. What are you?
God.
I was just talking about my own video that I made, basically.
Oh.
Sorry, I've watched like no Poor Quentin.
But he's the best. Oh my gosh. Okay, so basically the theory asserts that Euron is a failed student of Bloodraven.
Yeah.
And that his association with
I've heard this.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Euron is a failed student of Bloodraven. There's this line in Bran 3 in Agot where he talks about the bones and shattered bodies of 1,000 dreamers who came before him. And there's this part in a Victorian chapter where Euron leans against the wall and he offers him Shade of the Evening, and he said he dreamed that he could fly, and that what if like all he needed to do was to jump from a tall tower.
Yeah, I just read that, and like on my first read through, I thought, oh, Euron has ties to the Three-Eyed Crow. And like I didn't know that there was a theory tied with one specific YouTuber. I kind of thought that was not to be dismissive, but I almost felt like that's more self-evident than.
Oh no! Yeah. The cool thing is that he came up with it prior to the release of the Forsaken, and like all of the TWOW chapters. And
but
stuff.
I mean,
okay.
But I mean, him having the eye and the crows on his banners, doesn't that come up before that?
in A Feast for Crows, it comes up because he's called like Euron Crow's Eye and everything.
Yeah.
But there isn't a point. I mean, like I get it, but I think there's a difference between having like a crow's eye and getting high on Shade of the Evening and talking about how
True.
you had this dream, and in this crazy trippy dream, you thought you could fly, and maybe we can all fly, but if we just jump from a tall tower and see what
Mhm.
happens.
Mhm. I
This is
But
interesting.
I just thought it was
Does that
interesting.
even, it almost ties into the new time traveling brand stuff that TJ talked about, with the idea that like falling, like the physical act of fall, he gets really almost hard sci-fi there. The physical act of falling is what triggers some of these abilities. I don't know that I agree with all of that. But it's almost,
I believe it. I am 100% on board. This is how George, like, this is something that doesn't make sense to us because of our age, but for him, like, back in, like, the 70s or whatever, like, that was all the rage. I think that's exactly what he's thinking.
yeah, it's
I'll
possible.
summarize it real quick. The idea
It just
is
feels like
that,
it's solved.
it feels like what?
It feels too much like solving something that should remain mysterious, and that's why I don't like it.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
giving
you're
hard rules to all this weird, mysterious voodoo stuff that we're never supposed to
Mhm.
really be able to even comprehend, let alone understand. And then being like, no, it's actually this pretty straightforward set of rules. You just jump off of a building and sensory deprive yourself and voila, you're time traveling.
Yeah, and
I know that's an oversimplification. That said, the theory is still good. Certainly holds weight. Really good analysis. Please explain it, Nick.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is that sensory deprivation increases your telepathic abilities or your magic mind powers or whatever you want to call it. Basically, if you close your eyes and you cut off some of your senses, you can focus more of your energy towards warging or to, controlling a dragon or whatever. And we're going to be finishing up pretty soon here. But basically, the idea goes sensory deprivation is important to all this, and so floating in water and free falling and that sort of thing gives you a boost.
yeah, that's
With
the
that, I'm probably
theory.
going to be finishing up pretty soon. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
We strayed from JonCon.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
we.
whatever's
You guys were
interesting.
talking earlier.
Oh yeah,
You
Casimir,
guys were talking.
you
Oh.
you weren't here when we talked about not Casimir, when we talked about JonCon. So you want to say something about JonCon?
Oh, you guys were talking about themes. Is it okay if I
Yeah.
was thinking about it in the chat? Is it
Mm-hmm.
okay if I share
Yes.
what
Please.
theme
Please.
I
By all
think it is?
means.
All right, hold on one second. I gotta find it.
Oh, it was like a long thing with
Oh,
two different
just
something.
oh yeah. But my thoughtful theme would be that my thoughtful theme for JonCon would be don't let the past consume you. He's hardened his heart to love in favor of a romance that would only ever be one-sided with Rhaegar. But the bittersweet part is that JonCon lives in the lost love of a past, a romance that never existed, when he has right there before him a home, a son, and a family that loves him now. And to offset how like depressing and serious that was, my reductive theme was that JonCon should just not fall for straight boys.
That's both clever and deep and funny. So I
Straightforward.
applaud you.
He should have
still-
stayed with Miles Toyne.
I still like, yeah. I feel like there's still, when I talked about it, how there's a lot more contradiction in JonCon, but you do highlight that well with like what he has versus what he wish he had and how he doesn't realize he has what he has. So I think that kind of builds towards something similar we were talking about, but really stated well. So cool.
Great. Any final thoughts before we close on up? I have a hard out I gotta get to soon.
I'm good.
I'm good as well. Thank you very much for hosting this.
No problem. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Good luck writing everyone, and hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Yeah. You too.
Have a great day, guys.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.